Shweta, I think we should start.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we can start now, I think.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Samir.
Yeah.
Sir. So we welcome you all to the webinar conducted by Will GST and Tax Connect. It is on the monthly development on indirect taxes colloquium. So in here we will discuss the monthly developments which will be conducted by Vivek sir every month. Here will be the specific developments which will be discussed, and we request you all the participants to mute yourself, and the video should be off, and uh, and I request everyone to ask the questions in the mid of the session also, so can we can cover so you can we can cover the queries evenly. And I request Mr. Vivek Jalan to conduct the session forward.
Thanks, Shweta. And thank you, Samir, from Will GST for
Thanks, Vivek.
this. Thanks, yeah, for organizing this monthly colloquium on indirect taxes. Thank you all the participants and good morning. A lot of my old friends are there. As usual, we keep on seeing a lot of friends from Will GST, our own clients. So thanks all for joining. I understand that this is not the right phase for the entire human race. These are grim times. And only yesterday I was talking to a CEO, and he was saying that the fact that we are doing well and we are healthy, that is God's grace, and that is the biggest service we can do to our companies, to the nation, to our clients today in the next 2 months, specifically when this COVID surge would be there. However, friends, along with COVID, we have seen that in April, the GST collection was the highest since inception of GST. We have seen after the first wave of pandemic in 2020 that got over in around September or so, it started declining, not over. And we could see big time activity, especially in indirect taxes across the country. Department audits, department inspections, search, in fact, seizures we have handled across the country over the last 6 months. And with the GST collections also now showing a good picture, it means that consumption in the country was pent up and is actually now more pent up after this phase. And if we as a country pass through this phase in a healthy mode, then after it may be June or it may be August, once the second wave recedes, we will see huge consumptions coming in. With huge consumptions, there will be big time GST collections. And as you know, the more the GST collections, the more would be the notices, audits conducted by the departments, inspections, etc. So we as indirect tax professionals, we need to be on the ball in these 2-3 months as much as we can. And that is where between Samir from Will GST and we thought that there are many information circulating across on WhatsApp, on across social media, on various websites, on our own Will GST platform. Tax Connect circulates a lot of information also. But what happens is during the month, amongst this information, we may miss out on few important developments in indirect taxes. Even direct taxes, we have a separate forum for that. So here what we have done, we will go through the entire changes in indirect taxes over the last month or so, and the burning issues across the country. And in 1.5 hours also, we will try to update all of you. And of course, the moment we have a webinar, we ourselves get updated also. So that is the understanding, and every month we'll have this kind of a monthly colloquium. And please feel free to ask as many questions as possible. You can type in the chat box and post my deliberations for 65 minutes or so. We will answer all the questions, and you can even unmute yourself and ask your questions, right? So friends, over here we have around 6 to 7 topics. The first topic which we will discuss is a specific issue in industry is the classification or HSN code or SSE code for services. Classification, finding out the right codes, especially after this 6-digit HSN has come into being. In fact, on 12th of April, you would have seen that Will GST had circulated press release from the CBIC saying that many a times it is seen that taxpayers are using HSN code, 6-digit SSN code in some truncated form which is actually not available, and they are facing issues while generating e-way bills, etc. Sometimes I will show you an example also where taxpayers use possibly the right HSN code 6-digit, but still it is not available right on the e-way bill platform when you generate the e-way bill. I will show you sometimes where this error happens, and in case it happens, you need to intimate the help desk and they will incorporate it in the database. So classification, there is a genesis of classification. There are rules of classification, which I think all the indirect tax professionals, especially those of us who have practiced customs over the last few years, the people who have practiced customs, they are much more, you see, aware and much more expert at classification. But now with GST, all of us have to do classifications, and we have to go through those 6 rules of classification. But over here, I will give you a tax professional's way of classification, how to find out the HSN code with 2 examples, which we have done, which I thought was critical, and we will understand. So how to do the classification? First of all, for HSN codes, for the goods, friends, it is very, very important to go through the customs tariff. Even if you get it in GST tariff, if you get a specific entry, please always make it a point to go through the customs tariff once to see what the customs says, what the explanatory notes in the customs say. So the start of classification, whether in goods or in services, is the common parlance test, right? So here we have an example, right? We will discuss a company, a very, very large corporate. It required our opinion on what is the classification of demineralized water. So demineralized water, as a consultant, we may not be knowing. Even if you are in industry, right, you may not be knowing your engineering items. So first you go into Wikipedia and you see what is the common parlance test. So what is demineralized water? Then you go to the GST schedule for the entry, specific entry. If you get it or you don't get it, go to the customs schedule. We suggest in goods at least use 8-digit classification. Don't go for 6-digit classification. In services, of course, you have to go for 6-digit because there is no 8-digit classification. Thereafter, find out the most suitable item from the custom schedule. And this point number 5, which you are seeing, this is the most important point in classification, especially in this GST regime. You have to find out the carve out, right? You will not get the definition of this word. This is Tax Connect vocabulary, carve out, okay? So many a times you will see in customs tariff, a specific classification, 8-digit, it will have certain items. But when you look at the same HSN in GST, you will see a carve out, right? You will see only some of those items are there in GST. So look for carve outs. Then you come to the specific classification. If you don't get any specific classification, then you have a residual entry in GST, entry number 453 of notification number 1 2017 CGST rate. In SSE or services, you have this and classification 9997, which is the residual entry. If you don't get it anywhere, you have to use that classification. So let us come to two examples, right? Specific examples, and which we thought are critical to understand what are these carve outs, right? So first, as we discussed, is demineralized water. So what we did the common parlance test. And we saw demineralized water is a water whereby you take out all the minerals, a large deionization. A circular is issued on water, and water which is made safe for public drinking and which is not in the container, that will be nil rated. But then this is not coming into that. It is demineralized water. It is something more than safe public drinking water. So then we go into the GST schedule, right? And we see entry number 2201. So we see water other than demineralized water. So immediately we know that 2201 is not our entry, right? It contains all water other than demineralized, deionized water. Okay. So then we go on to the GST schedule more, and we see there is no other entry per se of water, right? Then we go to the custom schedule, and here we get a specific entry which is more or less matching with demineralized water, 28539010, and we see it is distilled or conductivity water of similar purity. Now again we do a little scientific research and we see that more or less this demineralized water is coming into this entry. It is a conductivity water of some grade of purity. Okay, so we see that okay, mil gaya. We have got our classification 28539010. Okay, don't do this mistake, friends. This is where we have to be careful. In classification, we have all done 6-digit classification. It is a time now to sanitize those classifications, because a wrong GST rate can have a large impact after 1 or 2 years. When the department finds it out, you have already billed to your customer. Okay, your customer has very well accepted the rate of goods or services, a reduced rate, and after 2 years, if the department show causes and they find out that you have done a mistake, the entire money has to be paid out of your own pockets, your as in your company's pockets, right? So we get our classification more or less 28539010. Okay, now we go to the GST schedule and we see, oh, we have got 2853 entry in notification 1 2017 CGST rate, and we immediately jump to the conclusion that okay, 5% is the rate of demineralized water. Friends, stop over here. This is what I was saying, carve out. This is the carve out over here. You see 2853, you have got the same HSN code, right? First 4 digits. However, in the description of the goods, out of the entire 2853 chapter, they have taken only compressed air as 5% in GST. So you immediately know that only compressed air out of 2853 entries is 5%. So what about demineralized water, right? You search the whole GST schedule, you will not find any other entry suitable for demineralized water. Therefore, you take a call that, gentlemen, we have not found out any other suitable entry for demineralized water, and therefore we will go for this residual entry under serial number 453. What does it say? Chapter heading, any chapter. Description of goods, goods not specified elsewhere. Okay. So the conclusion is, your opinion in this matter is, you have to use 28539010 or 285390 if you are using 6-digit, and you have to make the description of the item as demineralized water and use the GST rate of 18%, which is the general rate. Okay. So friends, this is a very, very typical, case which we have got, and we thought that this is one of the ways. And now if you put this into the e-way bill schedule or in GSTR1, maybe you will get an error, because maybe 28539010, when you put it in GSTR1 or your e-way bill schedule, you may see that it has only 5%. It does not have 18%. But then you have to write to the help desk, you have to use the suitable entry number, and you have to go forward until the help desk or the CBIC corrects it. Friends, another very important thing, I will come to that now, but now since we are on this topic, a very, very important High Court judgment in April 2021 in Central Excise. Okay, I'll come to that judgment, but since we are on this, it is a very, very relevant issue over here. Now, what happened in that instant case is that the supplier billed to the recipient. However, the supplier used the wrong Central Excise rate in that matter, right? The recipient, gleefully, he took the input tax credit. Now the GST department, it came to the recipient saying, gentlemen, your supplier has used a wrong HSN code or Central Excise rate of tax. Therefore, you have to pay the balance Central Excise amount because your supplier had done a mistake in classification. The Honorable High Court has ruled that the department cannot go to the recipient for a wrong classification or rate of tax used by the supplier, right? It is a very, very recent High Court judgment. It came in April 2021 only. I will give you the citation now once we go forward. Okay. So very, very important, friends. We have been advising our clients similarly in the last 4 years in GST. People have been asking us that, gentlemen, my supplier, I know. Like, I will give you a very, very solid case. Now, there was one supplier who was wrongly doing a classification of power banks. Okay, they were using the classification in power banks. They were using the classification of lithium-ion battery. However, power bank is not lithium-ion battery. It is a lithium-ion battery which is encaged in a cage. Okay, which was at 18%, while lithium-ion battery was at a lower rate. So my, our client, they got very, very, perturbed that tomorrow if the department comes, says that, gentlemen, you have taken a wrong input tax credit, then what do we do? And we had opined similarly. The High Court judgment has also held similarly that the department cannot come to the recipient for a wrong classification of GST rate which has been used by the supplier, right? Now, come to a similar issue. If you are a trader, okay, if you are a manufacturer, okay, you can play around, you can say that, okay, this is a new substance which I have created, which is a separate market and separate common parlance test, etc. What do you do if you are a trader? Now, if you are a trader, the supplier is supplying you, they say, power bank, and he uses a rate of 12%. You are not doing any value addition. Okay, you are just purchasing and selling. Now, what do? He is using 10-12%, and you bill to your customers at 12%, or you use the right rate of 18%, right? Here, our suggestion always is the following. First, do not make a mistake because your supplier has made a mistake, right? It is the prerogative of a supplier. It is the opinion of the supplier, whatever rate he is using. But even if you are a trader, please use the classification which is most suitable as per your view. Number two, and most important, which is not written in the law anywhere, please write a letter to your supplier. If you want to go one step ahead, write a letter to your range office also saying that our supplier has used this GST rate for this product. In our view, this GST rate should be of this product, and hence we are charging our customers this amount. This is for your kind information, right? Tomorrow, in case of any issue, friends, no, we have all practiced now indirect taxes last 20 years, and we have seen that very recently there was a case law again in service tax where the person had written to the department and said that, see, I am doing this manufacturing activity. After 3 years, the department alleged suppression, and the High Court dismissed the petition of the department, and it upheld the petition, in fact, of the appellant, saying that no, the taxpayer had already intimated to the department there is no suppression, a larger period cannot be used, right? So this is the thing with classification. These are the actions which you can take. Similarly, in case of services, again, we have got a live example over here. Only last week I had given this opinion. Now, one of our very large enterprises, it asked us that what do we charge for online advertising? My client wants to do advertising on my website. What do I charge? GST rate. So one of our colleagues only, no, he went ahead and saw that, okay, first, what did you do? You go to the 6-digit classification in service tax, right? And you see advertising services 99836. And you see online advertising, this internet advertising 998365. So you have got your classification. Now you go to the GST rate. You go to this notification 11/2017 CGST rate, and you get 9983 selling of space for advertising. And immediately you come to the conclusion 2.5%, which is absolutely wrong. Go further in print media. Again, this is a carve out. Okay. So out of the entire advertising in 9983, only advertising in print media has been put in clause 1 of this entry number 21 and taxable at 5%. This is the CGST notification. However, all other advertisement fall under this 2. Other professional, technical and business services other than 1 and 1A above and serial number 38 below. Okay. So advertising in internet or online advertising, that is taxable at 18%. Only advertising in print media is a carve out. In GST, it is taxable at 5%. Okay. So very important, friends. We thought that this carve out things, this is the very important thing in classification, and we must take you all through because a lot of show cause notices we are seeing on classification going across the country. Friends, another burning issue, right, is this denial of input tax credit because the supplier has not filed his GSTR 1 or GSTR 3B, and the invocation of 16(2)(c). We all know there is a recent judgment by the Madras High Court in the case of DY Bethel, which is going across, in all indirect tax circles. It is a very good judgment, but let me tell you that you do not need a high court judgment for this, only because there are certain field formations who are taking various views which are their own and may not be the CBIC's views in this regard, that assessees have to go to the high court. Section 42 subsection 3 is very clear in this regard. In case the seller takes input tax credit which is not reflected in his 2A, the department cannot come directly to the recipient. It has to go to both. 42(3) is very clear. It has to go to both the recipient as well as the supplier. And only if the supplier does not rectify his GSTR 1 or GSTR 3B, or if the supplier does not is missing, or he has cancelled his GST registration, or he is eloping, or he becomes insolvent, only then the recipient can be charged with the input tax credit reversal under 16(2)(c). In the press note dated 4th of May 2018, clause 4, the same has been laid down by the CBIC itself. Mind that these press releases are very, very important, and they are, if not binding, they have a very, very strong value for the GST departmental officers. So here in the press release dated 4th May 2018, the department in the press release laid down there should not be any automatic reversal of input tax credit. A very, very important question over here is, what about if your supplier's GST number has been cancelled suo motu by the department, right? You must have all faced this kind of an issue. Okay, so department has cancelled the GST registration suo motu of the, or ab initio of the your supplier, and consequently the department comes to you and says, gentlemen, you are the recipient of the goods or services, please pay the GST which was input tax credit taken by you for the supplies received from such supplier whose registration has been cancelled ab initio. Friends, this would not result in automatic reversal. First, the department has to see whether the supplier has paid the instant tax, which is relevant to the suppliers made by the supplier to you, right? There cannot be any automatic reversal. In this case of Madras High Court in D.Y. Bethel, one Mr. Charles and his wife Shanti, they did the same thing. They issued invoices, then they did not pay the GST to the government, and the recipients were asked to reverse the input tax credit. The High Court was very, very clear. It has given a direction while disposing of the writ petition and directing the department to interrogate this person Charles and his wife Shanti, right? And only then, if they find out and they see what is the issue, first try to do the recovery from this supplier Charles and his wife Shanti, only then come to the recipients. If Charles and Shanti are bankrupt, even the personal assets, if you go to the liability section in GST law, CGST, there is a section on, there is a chapter on who is liable. In case of a company, proprietorship or partnership firm, the directors, partners or sole proprietors, they are first liable. They even personal assets can be attached. Only if they go bankrupt or they are not traceable, only then can the department come to the recipient. Similar was held in the Apex Court judgment. This, I think, on Will GST platform, all platforms since the very beginning of GST. I have always used this citation. In the case of Arise India Limited, in Delhi VAT case, the Apex Court judgment is there, where the similar has been held. Same has been held by the Punjab and Haryana High Court in the case of Gherulal Balchand versus State of Haryana. Same has been held by the Madras High Court in the Tamil Nadu VAT case in the case of Sri Vinayaga Agencies. Last week, it was reported by Will GST. This you can take the citation 2021 VIL 333 KAR. In the case of similar in Simplex Infrastructures, okay, same has been held in the case of Karnataka VAT, that the department cannot come directly to the recipient and ask them to reverse their input tax credit. They have to go to the suppliers first. So friends, all of this can be used as a defense. We will share this PPT with you. Please keep it. I think most of us over here and across the country, we are facing these challenges of notices being issued to us for reversal of input tax credit. But no, if those of you who are doing income tax practice, you would be knowing there is a section 133 subsection 6 in income tax, whereby a personal presentation of the taxpayers or assessee may be required by the department. Same is there in the CGST law under section 70, okay, summons. So before coming to you, you have to always argue that the department has to go to the supplier. They cannot directly come to the recipient and say, gentlemen, you please reverse the input tax credit. Okay. Now another very, very critical, even last month we were dealing with this situation, and same or almost a similar judgment has come in the case of Page Industries Limited. Reported in Will GST by 2021 VIL 21. It is a appellate advanced ruling judgment, and we all know that appellate advanced ruling AAR, AAAR or AAR 99% are in favor of the department. So I think the case was of this innerwears which we use, jockey. Okay. But my case, I will tell you, okay, we can relate to this very, very well. Now, one of our clients, he had given a scheme. Okay, he had brought out a scheme. What was that scheme? If you purchase, say, if you are a person who is dealing with in, you see, steel iron rods. Okay. So they came out with a scheme for all the dealers that, okay, gentlemen, whoever purchases 100 tons of steel from me in a month, he will get a TV from my side. Okay, free. So they asked me, sir, can we take the input tax credit of this television set, which we will give as a target-based incentive to our dealers? I said, very well, you can take the input tax credit, no problem at all. But the department can litigate. And here, I then immediately I saw this judgment has come in an AAAR case of Page Industries. Now, the department's contention in this television case, I will tell you what is the department contention. That this AAAR ruling, if we were to use the same analogy, they are saying, gentlemen, now this TV you are purchasing, it is a, first they are saying in the same judgment, please read this judgment. It is a very, very interesting judgment. And you can see, you know, how can a AAAR come out with absolutely a non-speaking judgment? Half of the judgment, if you read, if you say, acha, ye theek ja raha hai, it is going in my favor. And immediately there is a track change. Okay. So this Page Industries, the AR said, okay, see, this is not a supply. I said, very well, then it is going in my favor. Then immediately they said, no, because it is not a supply, it is a exempt supply or a non-taxable supply, and you cannot take input tax credit. Then they are saying, okay, nonetheless, if you don't agree with this, then you have to agree these are gifts. Okay, I said, great. And then they are saying, okay, even if you don't agree with this, go to this clause number 1 of schedule number 1 of the CGST Act, and you can say it is a permanent disposal of business assets. I said, gentlemen, how can it become a business asset? So my humble legal submissions in this regard, or my arguments, I would say, in this regard is, first, it is not a supply, it is a no supply, gentlemen. Okay. In this case, Page Industries, the this jockey company, it has given mannequins, etc. Okay, to their dealers. It is not a supply at all. It is a business expenditure, right? This TV which is purchased, it is not a supply. It is a business expenditure. You don't use printing and stationery. Don't take an input tax credit for that. It is a business expenditure. It is a consumption. Number 2, how can they be classified as gifts? Go to the Apex Court judgment. There you will find gift has been defined in under income tax. There was a judgment. They say gift has to be involuntary. It has to be out of love and affection. Now, if it is out of love and affection, how can income tax allow me this gift under section 37? It is not a gift. it is my liability to give my dealer a television set. It is my liability to give my dealer a mannequin to display the items so that my sales can be increased, right? It is a simple sales promotion expenditure. Third, is it a business asset? Friends, an asset is a goods, right? Or an immovable property which gives you economic benefits over a period of time. This expenditure in television set or in mannequin, this will generate more sales for you, right? So it is just an expenditure. It cannot be termed as an asset. In my final conclusion and my legal submission in this case is this sales promotion expenditure, no matter what the department says, my humble submission in this case is that sales promotion expenditure are for furtherance of the business. They cannot be taken to be as a gift or an asset or whatever the AR in Page Industries has ruled, right? Okay, this is something out of the topic. Actually, this is not in the topic, but okay, since we are on this, now there are GSTR 9 and 9C, friends. Whenever you file, this time 9C has been withdrawn, but many of the tables of 9C, those reconciliation tables, they will come in GSTR 9. Friends, in GSTR 9, there is a now this there is a new wing which is formed by the CBIC. That wing is called the Director General of Analysis and Risk Management, DGARM, and very ironically, they are hosted in that Connaught Place LIC building, in the same building where GST Council is. Okay, so it is the right arm, either right and left arm, both of the GST Council. Now that has come out with this notice or this analysis. I will give you just one example. You have to be very careful. And we have been telling this since day one when we have filed the GSTR 9. If you report that they are doing an analysis, an automated tool has been used whereby if you are reporting certain figures in GSTR 9 in certain tables, automatically you are getting a notice of recovery. For example, if you use a negative figure in table 8D of GSTR 9, immediately you will get an you will get a notice, right? So when you file the GSTR 9 and the reconciliation statement, although the GST audit has been done away with, please be very careful. I can tell you this data analytics of the GST department, the DGARM, it it is much more advanced than any of our GSPs, and it can throw up surprises. So please do not go by technology. Please go by tax understanding of the firm. Many of even the big consultants, they are not doing much as far as the filing of the returns or these annual returns are concerned. But you from trade and industry, you have to be very careful. Most of these notices and assessments in GST will now be on the basis of data analytics. So while filing the GST forms, please be very careful as to which table you are using. And if you are taking a judgment, please have that in store, right? So that you can explain it after 3 years when nobody will remember what was done over there. So we come to the recent developments in April 2021. Even I have covered the ones in May till date. Okay, till day before yesterday, I have taken all the recent developments. So notification 7/2021, it has been notified that till 31st May 2021, the companies also, you can file your GST returns using OTP. Okay, you need not use your DSC. Somehow our government feels that this COVID-19 second wave, this will possibly come to an end on 31st of May 2021. So all these extensions even wide various notification 8, 9, 14, etc. All have, and even in income tax, all the extensions have been given till May 2021. Input tax credit, second proviso to rule 36(4), right? So that 5% excess you can take cumulatively for April and May. Okay. So basically the relaxation is for the GSTR 3B, which you will be filing in April. So there is a relaxation of 1 month. You can use your purchase register. You do not have to go with this 105% cap. Interest for those taxpayers who have an aggregate turnover of more than 5 crores, I think all the participants here, they would fall under this category. You have, in case you delay your return of 3B by 15 days, you have to pay 9% interest. More than that, you have to pay 18% interest. Now the question is that if you delay for 16 days, do you pay 18% for all 16 days, or do you pay 15% for 15 days and 18% for 1 day? The second one is correct. Last time, if you remember, this interest relaxation had come, it was notified that if you delay by more than, say, that time whatever relaxation was there, the general rate would be applicable for all the days. This time no such thing has been notified, which means that you can use the benefit to your favor. Most of us, I think none of us over here, at least in this forum, would be wanting to delay our GST returns and pay 9% also. But in case you delay, maybe this benefit you can use of 9%. Then GSTR 3B you can file within, no, again, late fees have been waived off or they have been relaxed, okay? To some extent, all till 31st of March, 31st of May. ITC 04 has been relaxed till 31st of May for the month of March 2021. GSTR 1, this is a welcome move. Okay, so without any penalty, etc., you can file your GSTR 1 by 26th of May. So you get a 15 days relaxation, but only for 1 month. Okay, so from June, our government thinks that all this COVID will end. IFF and all similar relaxations are there. I think all these relaxations we would have gone through already. So I will generally, I have taken you through the relaxations which are for those taxpayers which an aggregate turnover of more than 5 crores, right? Okay. So friends, now certain other important developments in indirect taxes in the bygone month. On e-way bill, we have seen a lots and lots of High Court judgment on e-way bill or detention notices and penalties which have been issued. A very, very important section 129 has also been proposed to be amended. Okay. So presently, what does it say? If you do a non-compliance or your vehicle is detained, you can be charged with a tax of 100% and a penalty of 100%. We have always protested against this. These goods which are detained, they are already tax paid. How can you charge another 100% tax? The departmental officers, all of them have been contending this. They are saying, no, you don't say this is tax. This is actually a form of penalty. However, in this budget, they have amended this section also, and they say, okay, don't say tax. We will say you will be liable to 200% penalty. There have been many cases. Right now, this is a weird case, Telangana High Court in the case of Vijay Metals. Here, the vehicle, it was carrying the consignment of 2 taxpayers, okay, for 2 destinations. First destination was, I think, Hyderabad. Then there was another destination, okay, in the same state. Now they found it, the vehicle, the mobile squad, it found the vehicle close to Hyderabad. Okay, close to the other place, which was actually farther than Hyderabad. So they detained it and they charged the penalty 200%, citing the fact that, okay, if Hyderabad came first, why didn't you offload the material first at Hyderabad? You are wanting to do some hanky panky. Okay. So just because the vehicle did not unload the material at Hyderabad first, which was the first destination, they were charged with 200% penalty. The Telangana High Court has ruled that it has directed with the department to please give a refund, and it cannot be the department's contention. The department cannot rule what the businessman will do, what the vehicle owner will do. Okay, it is upon the vehicle owner to understand. They have a better understanding of what to do. Okay, if the same route is followed, then the vehicles cannot be detained. Again, on in an interesting case, it's not here, but if you see this judgment in the case of Gopi Krishna Infrastructure, it is a very, very important judgment. The way bill had expired, it was not extended, okay, and 200% penalty was levied. Many of us, even I have seen large companies, they say, okay, if it was not extended, the way bill has expired, why to litigate? In that case, in the case of Gopi Krishna Infrastructure, the Honorable High Court has ruled that, okay, it was a flaw on the part of the taxpayer to not have extended the time period of its e-way bill, but immediately after detention, it had already generated the e-way bill. Okay, so a general penalty of 20,000 rupees under section 126 that should be levied, and not this 200% penalty. Okay, so this Gopi Krishna Infrastructure is a very, very important judgment, friends. You might use it in your cases. And I would say these waybill cases, wherever you find that the detention, there is no, the thumb rule I am giving you to go for litigation in this waybill detention or the vehicle detention cases. Just ask yourself one question. Was the intention of the taxpayer malified? Was there an attempt to evade tax? If your answer is in the positive, don't go for litigation. If your answer is in the negative, do go for appeals in detention cases. You will see the high courts will take a very, very concerted view, right? Most of the times the value of the case is not that high and we say, okay, why to go for litigation? But if you go for litigation, if you get a favorable order, even in a low valued case, then that case law, it is an asset for you. You can use that in your own company's case in other high courts for times to come. So waybill cases, again, it is not over here, it is in my earlier deliberations. There was again a case of Ram Charitra Ram Harihar Prasad held by the Patna High Court. Similar ruling was there. The waybill, there was no waybill, or the part B of the waybill was not generated. In this case, the Patna High Court, in the case of Ram Charitra Ram Harihar Prasad, it ruled that, okay, yeah, nothing had happened. The waybill was there, the part A was there, the invoice was there, the consignment note was there, the tax had been paid on the goods. Then why do you want to unnecessarily invoke a penalty of 200%? So very, very important in waybill cases. There are many other case laws which are reported, you see, on a regular basis by Will GST, so which you can use to your benefit. Okay, delay in procedural matters. Okay, so we had recently argued a case whereby MEIS license of another state was used in another state by the same taxpayer. It required a customs endorsement. They did not get it on the right time, and the officer, he created a demand disallowing the MEIS. There was some procedural error also, right, in using on the way in which the MEIS benefit was taken for payment of central excise duty. You know, MEIS scripts can be used for payment of central excise duty as per foreign trade policy 1520. You see, even in this case, in the case of bulk liquid solutions, there the export obligation discharge certificate was delayed by the DGFT. The Honorable Bangalore CESTAT has ruled that for procedural lapses, this substantive claim cannot be denied. Okay. Similarly, if please go, you will get it in the will GST also, I'm sure. In Central Excise, there was a circular number 1063 of 2018. Okay, I'm repeating. Circular 1063 of 2018, whereby the department had accepted many case laws where the negative, it was held in the favor of the appellants against the department. Okay. In one such case, I remember in the case of Ashok Leyland, Madras Ashok Leyland versus Commissioner of Central Excise, Madras. The Apex Court had ruled accordingly that for a procedural lapse, a substantive claim cannot be denied. So if you have this kind of a issue in your company, you can use this Ashok Leyland versus Commissioner of Central Excise Supreme Court's ruling, along with this circular 1063 of 2018, and this also bulk liquid solutions Bangalore CESTAT case. It is just reported by will GST 2021 will 178 CESTAT BLR. Okay. Okay. Now again, there was a judgment by CESTAT Delhi, whereby there was a rent agreement. We all have rent agreements in our companies, and generally what we do in the rent agreement, we say, okay, this office space, it can be used by my company, say ITC, it can be used by ITC Limited, it can be used by my associate, my subsidiary ITC Infotech, everybody can use these premises. Now the department came out using this clause of the rent agreement. They said, gentlemen, you are saying your subsidiaries have also used this, so you have to take only the proportionate input tax credit. In that, it was a case of service tax, so SENVAT credit. So the Honorable CESTAT Delhi, it had ruled that no, it is the obligation is on the department. They have to prove that the premises was actually used by a subsidiary. It is no onus is not on the taxpayer to prove that it was not used by the subsidiary, right? So even if you get such a rent agreement, do remember to bifurcate the rent, or at least do remember that if your subsidiary is not registered, don't put a nameplate over there, which can be a evidence for a department to ask you to reverse the input tax credit proportionately. Okay, stock lot of paper. If those companies over here who are dealing in import of paper, in February 2020, there was this notification in DGFT whereby other paper other than stock lot, paper imported by stock lots, that was exempt, or there was a benefit for paper imported other than stock lot of papers. Now the department, it said the stock lot of papers, so a lower grade paper, it is a stock lot paper. So generally we all know stock lot, it means a lower, you see, any item, when you say it is a stock lot item, it means it is an item which is low in quality. But a lower GSM paper cannot be said to be a low in quality. A paper in which you can write both sides, it cannot be of a higher quality. It can be of a higher quality, but a lower GSM paper where you can write on one side only, it cannot be said to be a stock lot paper. So the department twisted this matter. However, in case of this Jaya Shakti papers, the Honorable Madras High Court, it ruled very, very clearly that this stock lot of paper, it cannot be said to be a lower quality paper. It has to be some damaged paper or a paper which is rejected, something like that. Okay, so this okay, now very, I think this is a very, very no, I would say mindless order by the Commissioner of Customs, Chennai, okay, they use the date of communication as the date of service of the order. I think this is a very whichever commissioner has actually passed this order, or even whose commissionerate has passed this order, I think they have to take some, they have to take a better view in the cases, because it is very clear there are upteen number of cases in income tax. I can tell you that I can give you 100 citations in income tax where it is ruled that date of communication cannot be the date of service of the notice. The date of service is the date of delivery of the notice. At least many a times I remember, around 15-18 years back, when the law was not that, or the department was not that technology oriented, or you can say young. Many a times in this 142 cases in income tax, the taxpayers, they closed down their premises, the SME sector, and they said, okay, we will not take service of notice on this day, so my case will come under time barring. So the department officers went and they stuck that notice on the premises, and it would they took a photograph, and that was considered to be a valid service of the order on the notice. So similar, I think, view is there. Okay, an important amendment, friends, is in section 7, where clause AA has been added to section 7(1). In the Finance Act 2021, it is going to be notified very soon, after 50% of the state legislatures actually pass the act. Now, what is this section 7(1) AA, I think? Just a second. Yeah, 7(1) AA. What is this 7(1) AA? It actually overrules the judgment of the Honorable Apex Court in the case of Calcutta Club versus State of West Bengal versus Calcutta Club, wherein it was held in the case of service tax that the services which are supplied by Calcutta Club to its members, like food, etc., no service tax can be charged on that, because of the concept of mutuality. Okay, this has been taken care of by this amendment under section 7(1) AA, whereby, and I don't know why I think it is a bad amendment, not because there is an amendment, but because it is a retrospective amendment, and many of the clubs, chambers of commerce, associations would come in this purview, and I don't know what they will do with all the supplies they have done in the last 3 years. This would be subject to challenge, at least the retrospective amendment. So they have said that, okay, from the day it is notified retrospectively, the clubs and all who have not paid the service tax or GST on this part of supplies to its members, they have to pay the GST. So again, this Bowring Institute, it went to the advanced ruling authority, and they have held that, okay, while this amendment is there in the Finance Act, but it is a retrospective amendment and it is not notified. From after only it is notified, then only it will be made applicable, and till that time the ruling in the case of Calcutta Club would prevail. If this section 7(1) AA is actually notified retrospectively, I can tell you it would be another set of big time litigation, and I am very hopeful that this will be struck down. But nonetheless, you will see many other sub clauses after the 7(1)A, schedule 2, all schedule 2 entries. Now, those slowly you will see, once they are litigated, they will all find a space in 7(1) AA, AAB, etc., etc. Because these deemed supply cases, they have to be brought in the definition of supply first. So we all have to be wary of this works contract and intellectual property right cases where we are not paying service tax or GST. Okay. Okay. Now in the mining industry, especially the mining states, Karnataka, Jharkhand, we are handling many issues now in mining, in service tax and in GST. Service tax, the department is very clear that if you want to go for litigation, go. Okay, we will not do a lot of any coercion. In GST, now this SL mining case, it is an advanced ruling. It is a commissioner appeals order. While I am not in agreement with this commissioner appeals order also, the issue in this mining cases is that what would be the rate of GST which would be chargeable? Would it be on the licensing rate of 18% or would it be at the rate of the goods which are mined? Well, friends, there has been an amendment in the GST schedule, and as per the amendment, till 31st of December 2018, the GST rate of the goods which are mined, that has to be the rate for the mining services also, for the royalty paid on mining services to be used. But from 1st January 2019, a rate of 18% have to be used, right? It is very, very clear, right? Those of you, in case anybody is paying royalty on mining services, you can just follow this. It is well researched, irrespective of what the commissioner appeals in SL mining case has to say. Okay, Apex Court suo motu order, irrespective of all the limitations to the show cause notices, Apex Court suo motu order has been reinstated, and till further orders, all the general and specific limitations, they will be on hold. So irrespective of your what the CBIC extends, what it does not extend, I can tell you for service tax, central legacy matters, as well as GST matters, if you have received a show cause notice, if you have received an order where you have to go into appeal, you can use the Apex Court suo motu order, where there is a sine die, you say, extension of general or specific limitation. That has also been accepted by the GST Commissionerate of Chennai, I think. Okay, branded rice or branded pulses, branded wheat, whatever you call it under GST, this is a big, big issue in the state of West Bengal. This is become these rice mill owners and the flour mill owners case. There were massive search and seizures across, even I think in Gujarat. It started in Gujarat in 2019 and in West Bengal in 2020 from December. Now, what is this case? Branded. If you have a branded product, then for branded rice, for example, then you have to charge 18%. If your product is unbranded, you have to charge 5%. Okay. Now the question is whether your brand has to be registered or unregistered. That has been amended, and whether or not your brand is registered. Even if you have an unregistered brand, you have to charge 18%. Question is, what is an unregistered brand? If you go to the Wikipedia, you will see the definition of unregistered brand or brand. It means any mark, sign which helps the customer to identify a product, right? So we have handled a case where one person was using a seed symbol on his packet. So the question is whether it is a brand or not. Answer is yes, it is a brand mark. It is a trademark, and that would be liable to 18%. But if you give a declaration, if you submit a declaration on the packet, and if you give an affidavit, file an affidavit with the Joint Commissioner that you are foregoing the actionable claim on that brand, then you can charge 5% or in various cases exempt. Okay. Now the question, what happened in this West Bengal case, it is still going on in, I think, 100 all mill owners. Now these mill owners, they're all SMEs. What they do? They somebody told them, okay, you put it on the packet that I am foregoing my actionable claim. So they put it on the packet, and they did not file an affidavit with the Joint Commissioner. So the Joint Commissioner has to say across the commissionerate, they have to say that, okay, gentlemen, you did not file an affidavit, so we will charge, you have to pay 18%. Friends, this will again come in that circular 1063. It is a procedural requirement. It cannot deny a substantive claim or a substantive benefit to a taxpayer, right? So all of these show cause notices or orders, I would say, where a substantive claim is denied due to a procedural lapse, that would all be litigated. And I can say I am confident that going forward, we would see some relief from the high courts. Okay, so there are many other issues which have cropped up. We will take since we will have the last 15 minutes on question answers. The next 5 to 7 minutes I will take on the various important ones. We will share this PPT with all of you, okay, and so that you can go through this at your own pace. Other important judgments which are briefly reported. Canon India Limited, okay. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I am audible. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. My window got frozen somewhere. Okay, so Canon India judgment in the case of Section 28 of Customs Act. Now, this judgment, it was, now it was hailed by trade and industry. The CBIC, the Customs Department, is in a fix as to what to do. The judgment was on the term proper officer. In the instant case, the Honorable Apex Court has ruled that under Section 28, the DRI officer is not the proper officer to issue the notice. On this matter, the one of the dealers, Satya Jewelry, it went to the High Court directly in case of a DRI or a DGGI notice. And now the High Court said it distinguished this Canon India case. It says that, gentlemen, please don't come to the High Court. Okay, you have an alternate efficacious remedy. Go to your Commissioner Appeals. In Canon India Limited, it distinguished this case also. It said the verdict of the High Court has happened after a series of litigations. And by going through the various stages, tribunal, High Court, Commissioner Appeals, etc., you are coming directly to the High Court. High Court cannot get into the facts of the case. So use your alternate remedy. Canon India judgment was only after alternate remedies were exhausted, they went to the Apex Court. So, friends, again, this is a clear example in indirect tax, at least it has become a fashion to directly go to the High Court. You have to have a real case to directly go to the High Court. Otherwise, your writ petition may be disposed of or dismissed because of alternate efficacious remedy. So similar, okay. So last issue over here, before we just go on to one show cause notice in service tax. Now, I was seeing one of the opinions going around in the circles. That, okay, gentlemen, you please go ahead in GST and take the input tax credit on group Mediclaim. And one of my clients, he says, Tax Connect has always said, don't take the input tax credit on group Mediclaim. Now you are, what is your opinion? This consultant is saying that you take the input tax credit on group Mediclaim. I said, okay, please forward me the opinion. Friends, the opinion was on the instant judgment of the Sestat Ahmedabad in Solvay Specialities India Private Limited. This is again one example of a very aggressive opinion which would be very difficult to sustain, right? In this case, now in the case of Solvay Specialities Limited, the Honorable Sestat bench of Ahmedabad, it upheld the verdict in the case of Ganeshan Builders, and it said that group insurance was different from Mediclaim insurance and you can take input tax credit. But there were up to number of cases in various other Sestats. In GST, under section 17B, that provision, it is very clear that group Mediclaim insurance credit can be taken only if it is statutorily required from the employer side to take the mediclaim for its employees or the relatives of the employees. So friends, my humble opinion in this case is that just because there is a SESTAT order, we should not go with and claim input tax credit and take an aggressive step, and that also in the previous regime, right? Yes, the previous regime, similar matters can be used to structure transactions in GST regime, but not to blindly take a SESTAT judgment in service tax and apply it in GST, where the facts of the case are different, where the law is different. Even the High Court, you see in this DY Bithel, the honorable the counsel, the senior counsel, he argued immediately. First, he started his argument on the basis of the same High Court judgment, Karnataka High Court judgment in the case of Vinayaga agencies. The honorable High Court very clearly set aside that argument, saying that okay, it is an argument on the basis of erstwhile law. Please tell me what is there in GST. Only when the counsel presented the alternate argument on the basis of this press release of 4th May 2018, that they got a favorable order. Therefore, be very, very careful while applying a service tax judgment to GST case when the law is different. Also, facts of the case may be different. That is our humble opinion in this in these matters. Okay, this we have again now, as I said in the beginning, that on the basis of a supplier's classification, the input tax credit of recipient cannot be asked to be reversed. This is the Delhi SESTAT judgment in the case of Kajaria Ceramics Limited. Okay, this judgment, this case has been argued on a very, very famous landmark judgment in the case of Service Refractories Private Limited, 2077. Will 63 Supreme Court Central Excise case. Okay, so more than this, I think Kajaria Ceramics Limited, you should use this Service Refractories Private Limited. Okay, this is an apex court judgment. It was a landmark judgment in case of Central Excise. So friends, in service tax cases, you see many of the times we are getting show cause notices. We are at least 10 of them we have replied already. They are comparing your income tax returns with your service tax returns, which are uncomparable, and they are issuing show cause notices saying your income tax income shows 100 crores, in service tax you have reported 30 crores, right? And opportunity of hearing, they issue a show cause, within 15 days they confirm the order, right? Even sometimes not waiting for the reply, sometimes not giving a suitable opportunity of being heard. In these cases, our legal submissions are the following. On facts, of course, you have to argue, you have to consult, you have to see that what are the exempt services, abated services, the valuation rules in service tax which are not applicable in income tax. So those are on facts. On limitation, you can argue that already returns have been filed. Now, I was telling in the very beginning of my deliberations, in the case of this Purna Plastics Industries versus Commissioner of Central Excise, in this matter, the manufacturer had written a letter to the commissionerate that, look, gentlemen, my activity is this. And afterwards, the department alleged suppression, which was struck down by the quashed by the Honorable High Court of Calcutta. Okay, sorry, Calcutta Tribunal. Similarly, in apex court's decision in case of Anand Nishikawa Company Limited, it was held that when the facts are known to the department, then they cannot use the balance sheet and the income tax returns to issue a show cause in case of service tax. Very important judgment which you can take shelter of is Deltax Enterprises, Delhi High Court judgment, Delhi Tribunal judgment, whereby just because of service tax and income tax return difference, without alleging what is the service actually which has not been reported or suppressed, the department cannot come out with a show cause notice. Circular number 1053 also you can take shelter under. And yeah, there are various case judgments which we will share this PPT with you. You can use it and you can go through it at your own pace in case you have such notices in the case of service tax. So friends, thank you very much for listening. We will take up few questions. All the questions, in fact, there are many questions in the chat box. We will take up all the questions one after the other. First, we'll take up all these questions in the chat box, and then we will, in case you have any other questions, you can unmute. Okay. So Mr. Nagarajan, he says, we are trader, not manufacturer of automobile parts. We procure automobile parts from various suppliers and supply to our dealers for use in motor cars. Intention of purchase and supply to automobile parts is only for motor cars. Whether we must determine classification based on classification test or merely adopt our seller's HSN while selling to our dealers, since we are not manufacturer of automobile parts. So Mr. Nagarajan, I have already covered this in my deliberations. As I said, please do an independent classification on the basis of, again, there is a doctrine of the supplier's intention, purchaser's intention to purchase. So do a classification as per your trade. But if your supplier has not used a wrong classification code, it is better to follow that. But you have to do a classification at your end also. Do an independent classification. Just don't go on the supplier's classification. Nikhil, he says, can ITC available when instead of TV, company is giving motor vehicles? Nikhil, yes. Manish says, can we say 36(4) unconstitutional? Well, Mr. Manish, you can say unconstitutional. However, it has to be struck off by the High Court or by the Apex Court under Article 226 or 32. Okay. Let me tell you, after this amendment in the CGST Act and after insertion of 16(2)AA, even this 5% benefit or leeway which you are getting, that will be stopped. So wait, do not challenge 36(4). Wait for 16(2)AA to be notified and challenge 16(2)AA, in fact, right? Because that would be really unconstitutional. Mr. Kalpesh R. Bhatt, he says, amendment to section 16 wide section 109 of Finance Act. Okay, 16(2)AA. Yeah. So, Mr. Kalpesh, this is what we are discussing about. Now, you are saying, according to this amendment, whether we need to avail credit only after matching with 2A. Yes, that is the intention of this amendment, but let it be notified. Okay, once it is notified, only then. Okay, other important notification which we are waiting for is this section 16 of IGST Act. All of those of you who are exporters, export on payment of duty, that would be kind of discontinued. So I hope you are taking requisite measures whereby you are slowly shifting to the LUT regime. Mr. Sanjay Mejari says, want to know applicability of GST on goods issued to a dealer on demo basis. Applicability of GST, if you are talking about outward supply, and I think if you are giving to them as a demo, but the final ownership of them are still vested in you, no GST, it is not a supply, it is a non-GST supply. If you are talking about input tax credit, you can take the input tax credit as per my opinion in this matter. Mr. Nagarajan, long query, what is your view on interest applicability of supplementary invoice for retrospective price increase? Section 50 interest provision, see, supplementary invoice, if you have issued, okay, if you have issued, if there is a retrospective amendment in the law. Okay, let me go through your question first. 51 says this, section 12 speaks about time of supply for invoice alone, not for debit note. 34(4) tax on debit note should be paid on debit note. Any scenario we have not failed to pay the tax, so interest provision 51 not applicable. Mr. Nagarajan, my opinion in this matter is that you have to do a double test. Number one, whether it is by mistake that you have not applied the tax, or it is because of a CBEC amendment, or it is due to other matter. If it is not by your mistake, then, and it is by retrospective amendment by the CBIC, then no interest. But if it is your mistake, you forgot to charge the tax, and now you remember and you charge the differential tax, section 50 subsection 1 would be applicable to you, because it is a failure on your part. This is my opinion. However, if you have sufficient input tax credit balance, you can take the benefit of the amendment to section 50 subsection 1, and you can pay only on the cash component, this interest part. Okay. Mr. Sanjay Majari says, do we need to pay GST on goods issued for demo? We have already taken this. Mr. Guru Prasad, sir, if the supplier has not uploaded his invoice, now he is inactive. But on tax invoice and payment to the supplier basis, we have considered ITC. Now, whether we need to reverse the input tax credit with interest, or if I have more input tax credit on portal, can I reverse the same under DRC3 without interest? Okay, very good question, Mr. Guru Prasad. My opinion is as follows. Number one, if your supplier's code GST number is inactive, which means that the supplier's GST registration has been cancelled or suspended by the department ab initio, or with prospective effect. If your supplier is not missing or bankrupt or has not closed down the business, you can take the benefit of this case under DY Bickel and the press note dated 4th May 2018, read with section 42 subsection 3. Let the department go to the supplier and charge the supplier and do recovery from the supplier, including attachment of personal assets of the supplier. However, if your supplier is not traceable, then you come to the second part. If you have sufficient input tax credit balance, it is very, very clear no interest is applicable. Interest is applicable only to the extent of cash component or cash payment. Only to that extent you do the DRC3, and of course reverse your entire input tax credit taken. Mr. Manish, he says, can appeal Apex Code suo motu order applied for GST audit notices by the department? Yes, Mr. Manish. In fact, we are taking extension, praying and taking the shelter of this suo motu order of the Apex Code. Mr. Bhavesh, you say we got interstate supply and vendor has filed R1, GST R1, but filed in B2C. Even on sale invoice, vendor has not mentioned our GST number or mentioned other state GST number. Mr. Okay, you are saying again, we have received demand notice. What would be the impact of it, or how to resolve the demand notice on the ground to defend it? Mr. Bhavesh, you fall under section 42 subsection 3 very, very clearly, along with press note dated 4th May 2018. Please, you have two options. First, you write to the department that, gentlemen, that this is what has happened. First, you do one thing. I would say even before that, take a letter from your supplier that this is what has happened, and take corroborative evidences. Evidence is very, very important. We GST, indirect tax or tax professionals, we just keep on writing, right? But generally, you have to have evidences, right? So take a declaration from your supplier that this is what has happened. Take corroborative evidences that he has filed 3B. This is where he has paid my part of the tax related to my invoices, which he has issued to me. Present it to your charge office or your range office. Very recently, I think 2 weeks back, we had a conference in CII where the Honorable Deputy Commissioner of the Anti-Evasion Wing was there. She was very, very clear that in case the recipient can prove to the department that the supplier has paid the tax on which credit was taken by the recipient, then they would not go for any recovery proceedings, right? So please use this methodology. I am 100% sure that you would get the required relief. Mr. Praveen, okay, Mr. Praveen Kumar, he is my old friend and he gives long queries. So Mr. Praveen Kumar, let me reply to your queries. We applied the advance license and got the same from DGFT. Okay, we exported the goods to SEZ by reference to the license. Shipping documents are collected and submitted to the bank for obtaining BRC. Once BRC is issued, documents are submitted to DGFT for obtaining EODC. License is utilized for import. Bill of entry has license number, bill date, and value. The licenses are online registered in customs and they are debited online. Would IGST be payable at the time of filing the bill of entry? Mr. Kumar, no. However, you see, now first I'm giving you my legal opinion. That is no, IGST should not be payable. Now, the practical approach would be, because you have to file your bill of entry, there would be pressure on you from your purchase department to clear the goods, right? And there would be a problem of demurrage when your goods are standing on the customs and you have to pay on that demurrage. So practically, if the custom delays by 1 month, right, you have no option but to clear the bill of entry. But legally, you see, you are covered. You need not pay the IGST. Mr. Ankit Khandelwal, you say SCN received for the period 15-16 regarding RCM on work contract to be paid by the contractor. What remedy now contractor can take while replying to show cause notice? Okay, Mr. Ankit Khandelwal, good question. So 15-16, the second half of only 15-16, that is presently not time barred. First H1 of 15-16, that is already time barred. Now for H2 of 15-16, you see, you can argue on this suppression. The department will allege suppression, but you have to argue basis on the returns filed by you. Notwithstanding, you have to even argue on revenue neutrality because you have paid the tax and you would have taken the input tax credit. So these are the two grounds on which it is our legal submission that on which you should argue. Mr. Anand Chobe, ITC 04 not filed since September 9. Is there any late fee of penalty? Mr. Chobe, I think yes, there would be some late fee. I'm not very sure. You have to just check it out. But I think there would be a late fee. We have to get back to you on this ITC 04 late fee. In fact, but only thing is that we have one of our clients, in fact, few of our clients for the first, even after it was streamlined in 2019, we delayed ITC 04 for few months due to some technical glitches in the ERP. But till now, we have not got the notices for the late fees. Okay. So
Okay,
we have.
thank you,
This. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Mr. Arpit Garg, he says, sir, can we take the benefit of the judgment of Supreme Court in the case of Arise India or Madras High Court in the case of supplier failure to upload an invoice in GSTR 1 and the recipient avails input tax credit without ITC being reflected in 282B? Of course, yes, Mr. Arpit. Not only this press note and this 42.3, even this simplex infrastructure benefit, The judgment has from Karnataka High Court. It has come just in April, 1 week back. If you see the mailer from Will GST, you will get that judgment in the case of Simplex Infrastructure, judgment of Karnataka High Court. You can take the benefit. Rahul Patel, Mr. Rahul says 5% ITC over and above 2A as per rule 36.4 is available. Even in subsequent month, also supplier fails to upload, or it is only for temporary period and ITC should appear on 2A. Yes, Mr. Patel, it is only for temporary period. It has to appear in 2A. That is the department stand, right? Our stand is till this 16.2 AA is notified. Please go ahead. Do not miss out on input tax credit just because of mismatch as per 2A. Once this 16.2 AA is notified, then you have two options, either to accept or to challenge this 16.2 AA in the High Court. Mr. Amit Deshpande, it says we are manufacturing of auto head unit which covered 8527 18% GST, but few suppliers charge 28% on automobiles part. Any questions will arise in future. You are covered by these judgments which we have discussed. If your supplier is charging you 28%, go ahead and take the 28% input tax credit. You would not be questioned by the department. If you are questioned, you are covered. Mr. Praveen Mahajan, Mr. Praveen, you are saying ITC can be availed on the basis of 2A. Even supplier had not paid according to the latest law. Department will allege, right? Department will allege this, that it is not appearing in 2A, you are not allowed to take input tax credit, but you can always contend. Saurav, he says, is the HSN code for gift voucher? Saurav, instantly, I don't remember HSN codes. There are thousands of them. We have to check this, if it is available for gift vouchers or not. I know your case, right? So we can answer you this offline. Mr. Shomik Das, he says, it is a business practice that we declare our premises of a subsidiary company's principal place of business. It is who are complying with the GST provisions, we let them use our premises as principal place of business. In fact, we do not charge anything. In the rent agreement, there is no mention, and hence we are eligible to take entire input tax credit. Hopefully, there would be no issues of documentation aspect in this respect if it is taken care of. Shomik, I think there can be an issue over here. This is what my point was. Although your rent agreement is silent on this, but practically if you have a signboard of your subsidiary company on that, even if you are not charging any rent on that, the department, it cannot allege supply, outward supply, right? Even that can allege under Schedule 1, right? Supply of services to related parties where no consideration is paid. But of course, it can ask for proportionate reversal of input tax credit for the premises which are not used entirely by the company. Mr. Arpit, he says, what is the view of availment of input tax credit, whether it would be 2A or 2B? Mr. Ankit, our view is very, very clear. We have a video also, if you go on our channel, and it is 2A. Okay, as per rule explanation to rule 70. That is the legal submission in this matter. Mr. Indani, he says, if I report wrong GSTIN of a customer in GSTR1, then I can do amendment even in e-invoice generated with wrong GSTI number. Mr. Indani, I think you can do an amendment over here, but you see, I have to answer you this offline. You see, GST returns, our office files. So we have to just check this out practically what GST portal is allowing. But there is no bar. In the law, there is no bar. In fact, it is provided that GST number can be amended. Mr. Bhavesh, okay, there are last 7 or 8 questions. What is the position or remedy when input for the past period 17, 18, 19, 19 not declared CB and GST audit is pending for this period. Mr. Bhavesh, these are all time barred. My legal submission in this matter is that it will be litigated if you take the input tax credit of these periods now. However, if you have to build up a case, you see, the case has to be built up, and that is what an advocate's role is. This instant MEIS case, which we have discussed over here, which we have argued, right? We built up that case in such a manner that we told the office again and again, at least 10 times during my submission, I said, Lordship, now there is no case. We have all rectified everything. So you have to build up a case on the facts of the case. What were the issues? But legal submission, as per the GST Act, it is time barred. Okay, Mr. Bhavesh, this 2A point we have already this 2A point we have already discussed in our question answers. Various other questions were asked in this matter. So friends, I think with this we have cleared all the questions which were there on the chat box. Thank you very much for joining, and we see you again in the month of June. Stay safe, stay secure, and for all the developments for May 2021, we will come in the first week of June, possibly on a Saturday, again 11 a.m. in the morning, 1.5 hours, and we'll try to compile everything and for the benefit of all the indirect tax professionals. Till that time, please keep safe. Please help your families and stay with your families in this grim time. Thank you very much. Samir, over to you. Okay, I think some.
Hi, Vivek. Thank you for this session. And actually, we have covered a lot of things, and the time was very well utilized and well managed with all the queries. And in fact, we had a wide range of queries this time. So this itself shows that the session was very fruitful. And I'm happy that we have done this, and we will continue to do this month on month, and it will surely be a beneficial session for everyone who attends it. So thanks, Vivek, and thanks everyone for attending it, and stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to this similar session in the next month.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Vivek.
Hello.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
sir. So Saurav sir is saying something.
Saurav, you can call me. Thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Saurav.
I'll do. Thank you.
Thanks.
Vivek sir, I've sent you one last query. If you can look into it.
Sir, we can take this offline.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks.
You can just call me or mail me. We'll take it up.
Thanks for it.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks.